from Renewables, and this is plug-in solar. So today I'm going to give you a quick overview before we go into detail what this device is. So this is one of the new plug-in solar inverters. This one's by Hoymiles. Other brands will be on the market, and we've managed to get one early. And all you do is you get two solar panels, plug them in at this end, you plug in your mains connector, it's a waterproof fitting, and that plugs into any socket or any circuit in your house. Once you've set it up on the app, set the password, straight away the sunlight makes DC electricity that's transformed or inverted into AC electricity, and you start saving on your bills. I think you're going to see these everywhere soon in all the supermarkets, all the hardware stores, and so today's video is basically going to give you a lot more information on what they are, what we found that was great, any problems we found. So a really brief summary of the positives and negatives. Convenient, easy to hold, small, reasonably lightweight. You can attach it to the back of the panels or the frame or your balcony. I guess that's probably why they're called balcony solar. Really easy to set up the app, works really simply, quick payback time. So loads of advantages. The disadvantage we did find, it's really hot at the minute. We're in I think it's the third heat wave, it's mid-July. If you've got full power going through it, so that's 800 watts, these are limited to 800 watts. After about 2 or 3 hours, the unit gets pretty hot, about 60 degrees, and then it shuts down until the temperature drops to about 40 degrees. So for lower light conditions, yeah, it works great, but running at full power during the heat wave, you lose quite a lot of production. And I think that's because it's got such a smooth surface. There are a few heat sinks on the back, but compared to a traditional inverter, which has really massive aluminium heat sinks, this might be its one Achilles heel. So there's been lots of discussion about plug-in solar. Will it be the future of solar? And I think the answer is mixed. It's going to have its place. I really like it, but it does have some limitations. I think soon, once these are released, probably at the end of the month for solar, plug-in battery will follow. I can imagine everyone could have benefit from having one of these and a couple of panels for lowering your base load, but it's never going to run your house as it is, and it does have some limitations, but I think they'll be pretty mainstream. You'll see them all over the place pretty soon.
Hello and welcome back to the Blue Ape Renewables YouTube channel. Today once again I'm with Phil, our electrical QC, and we're going to discuss and go over one of the hot topics at the minute, which is plug-in solar. So straight off the bat, Phil, what is it?
Excitingly, this has arrived. I'll put it back in the box so we can get it out again. So we've actually tested it, and we're going to talk you through today what we found, what was good, any issues that came up. But excitingly, this is Hoymiles HF800 plug-in solar. So if I get it out of the box, you might have heard of it called balcony solar in Europe. It's all over the news and all the solar enthusiast groups and forums. So we don't know the official launch date yet, but very kindly a company's sent us this already. We think, but we don't know, that at the end of the month, end of July, they're going to be made legal. So at the minute, if you want to do any kind of solar production, you need to have a G98 or G99 inverter, go for the D&O paperwork, have an electrician sign it off and fit it. Once these come out, again, we're not certain of the rules, but basically you'll get a device like this. There's other brands as well.
Basically a micro inverter, Phil.
Yeah, so essentially this one's a micro inverter. It's got one input. This particular brand takes 2 panels in series, or you can have 1 panel, as long as you don't exceed 100 volts. According to the spec sheet, it recommends about 400 watt panels, but we tried it with 550s and it was just fine. And actually the benefit of a bigger panel is when it's a bit shaded, you still get the production.
So that's an 800 watt inverter?
This is an 800 watt inverter, and it looks pretty certain that the rules, the government rules, will be 1 800 watt inverter per household, or essentially per electric meter. And then it comes with an AC cable with a UK plug on it, and you just stick it in. It's got a waterproof seal. Connect your 2 panels together in series, connect them into here, and you're good to go. So the next thing to do would be then download the app for this company. Each company will be slightly different. Found the app was really easy to use, and there'll be some pictures of it in the background of this video. With the app, you register it, you set the password, and basically it goes straight away, just starts working, and it's pumping electricity back, taking DC from the panels, turn it to AC, and pumping it straight back into a socket. And so I guess it's probably worth talking a bit about like how that works, what's safe, what's unsafe about it.
Yeah, so up till now, Phil, this has never been permitted in the UK.
No.
So what's kind of like the change? Is the reason behind the change? Is it something that the government are just trying to push people towards? Is there any outstanding or particular reason as to why this is now being made legal when it previously hasn't been?
So I think technically nothing's changed, but the massive price rise with electric bills, the climate change that people are starting, it seems to feel is evident, are over basically those factors, and the government strategy are overriding the historic safety fears. But let's mention what they were. So you'd never be allowed a petrol generator on a plug, and the idea being that if this is generating, you could touch the pins and get a shock. So the idea with the microinverter, like all the other inverters, they shut down, I think this one in less than half a second when it's pulled out. So that's one of the fears. Another worry is that if you just plug in this into a circuit and you're backfeeding some of the safety devices, if you, for instance, were getting a shock, the RCD might not trip in time if it's not recognising the fault as coming from the grid as this instead. Or there's another small worry that if there was a fault and someone pressed the test button, it can damage the test button of the RCD. But basically, it's never really a good idea to backfeed RCDs. But in Germany, it's worked for quite a long time. There don't seem to be any problems. So it looks likely that the government, at the end of the month, will allow one 800-watt device per household.
Was it limited to a maximum of 2 kilowatts of solar?
So I think,
is that what it's looking like?
I think when I read the specification, you could have up to 4 panels, but that might be lost. And I think they'll just say in the end one 800-watt device, and then the number of panels it can take will be down to the manufacturer. But interestingly, there's nothing to stop you just plugging in 2 devices, other than that you're not allowed to, plugging in 2, 3, 4 devices. And I've tried with a couple, and they do link to the app. They tie together by Bluetooth, and you can set in the app to limit the output from 0 to 2,000 watts with this brand. Potentially in the future, the rules will change, and you'll be allowed a bigger output if you perhaps have a dedicated circuit rather than put them on a plug.
Yeah.
But it looks like as they come out, you can just buy them, plug them in, and there's nothing really to stop you plugging in as many as you want.
So obviously you've tested these, Phil. Phil is who we like to call the professor, because he likes testing out every new piece of kit or anything new that's coming out on the market. So you've had one of these microinverters set up in the back garden along with a couple of solar panels.
Yep.
So what have you found in terms of the pros and the cons?
The pro, it was incredibly easy to set up. We just got 2, again we'll put some pictures in the video, 540 watt Eco panels in series, clicked them in, plugged it in, done. Yeah. So that, from that aspect, it was brilliant. I guess the downside is they've got some panels propped on some garden chairs in the garden. So I think the biggest thing for plug-in solar is going to be the mounting brackets.
And the aesthetics.
And the aesthetics, yeah. It doesn't have to go in the garden, it could go on the roof of a shed or whatever, but it's always going to be the safety of them blowing off or getting smashed. And we are actually working on some racks and different products that will soon be available if you have got a small array in the garden. So yeah, really, really easy to set up. The downside was, it's been so sunny, so it was running at 800 watts pretty much straight away. Ran for about 2 or 3 hours at 800 watts, and then the inverter ramped down because it got, well, I think, looking at the graphs, and again they'll be in the pictures, got to about 60 degrees Celsius, and then it really ramped down the production to about 100 watts. After a couple of hours it cooled down, and then production ramped back up again. So
you're saying the heat, it went all the way from 100 watt output all the way down to 100 watt output?
So yeah, from 800 all the way down to about 100, and it pretty much on the graph, we repeated it on 2 days, is when this device gets to about 60 degrees, it pretty much shuts down to protect itself, and then it seems to kick back in at about 40 degrees. And if you have a look, it does have some cooling fins on the back, but compared to the normal inverters, the wall-mounted ones we're used to, which have really massive big aluminium fins, I think if you're in a really sunny location, really hot location, temperature is going to be a problem. Maybe this was just sat underneath. If it was hanging,
how did you have that mounted?
So the first time it was just flat.
Yeah.
Second time stood it up. Didn't really seem to make much of a difference. So, but I think if they were hanging off your balcony or wherever, they're never really going to be optimally set up. so there probably would never be an opportunity for it to run at 800 watts at full power all the time. Maybe, and you probably wouldn't notice. You'll see in the pictures I've set two 540 watt panels, so it was 800 watts continuously for a few hours. But I mean, it worked fine afterwards. It seemed to be all automatic, so it's really simple. But I think if you really want to make a lot of power, the traditional system might still be the better way, just from this cooling idea. In fact, it'd be interesting to compare to some normal microinverters that aren't plug-in and see how well they compare with heat.
And at this stage, you've done any comparisons to how much they saved you?
Yep. So the app for Hoymiles got this really handy feature. If you put in the unit cost, it'll tell you every day how much you've saved.
Yeah. What was it kind of coming out at, roughly?
I think so. The first, I think it did about 3 or 4 kilowatt hours each day, and that depends if you look at it. If it was a 12 pence feed-in rate, you're looking at about 50 pence, or if it's saving you 28 pence, which is the buy-in rate,
just over
nearly a pound. Yeah. So the payback, this was about £100. The big panels I had, they're about £80 or £90, but the 465 watt panels you can get for about £60 or £70. I think you could probably look to get about 18 for a DIY install, maybe 18 months payback, but that's not taking into account this cutting out extreme heat, though that probably is just during this unusual weather.
And of course, with us being in the summer at the minute with the long daylight hours, I mean, what would you? I know you've not tested it under these conditions, but let's say in the winter when you've got shorter daylight hours, less usable. So, daylight, what would you kind?
Well, I think
it's not going to be kicking out about 4 kilowatts like it has done over the past few days, is it?
No, the main benefit for these, in my opinion, is basically going to be to cover your background use. So your internet router, your TV on standby, your base load. You've got the fridge, the freezer, all various items that are running all day. Probably only using 100 watts, 200 watts. Over. Yeah, so if this is making 1 or 200 watts, it's matching your base load. And because that's all day or all daylight hours, every day, that's when it really saves you. So in the winter, even though it might only be making 100 watts because of all the cloud or the low light, that's still enough to cover your base load.
So basically, if you're on holiday and you're away from the property for a week, you're only really going to be paying your standing charge, aren't you? Because that's going to cover your base load.
Yeah, they've definitely got their uses. And I suspect once the rules come out, there'll also be an allowance for batteries. So at the minute, it's just all the talk is about plug-in solar, but this is ultimately turns DC into AC, and I don't see any other safety or other issues that would be different if you had a battery on this side of it. And once you've got battery models, then if you're making more than you're using for your base load, you could store it as we do now. I mean, it's a bit like the products we sell. I think for really small users, or just for a very cheap way to offset.
People's budgets are different, aren't they?
Then these could be great. If you want to run something powerful or make a really big contribution to you, it's probably not the right
traditional
thing.
methods, the way
traditional methods still has advantages. Yeah, I mean, you could still roof mount the panels this was connected to, but again, I think heat is going to be an issue. Accessing the roof is an issue. And again, these would normally mount using these hooks on the frame. So it would be under a panel, or if you had a garden frame underneath. I think it wants to have quite a lot of airflow. I've seen on some DIY forums for normal inverters, people set up fans. So I'm sure we'll see all kinds of things in the future.
I'm sure we'll see them when you're testing them, Phil. Just when you touched on batteries, obviously at the minute, a lot of our installs are property owners just looking at battery-only installs. If they've got a battery already AC coupled, and then they were to start plugging in these plug-in solar panels, will their existing AC battery still capture the surplus that's going through the plug socket?
Yeah, it should do. As long as, so if their AC batteries, pardon me, been set up correctly with the CT clamp on the tail, any solar you're making at first will counter the house loads, and any surplus will be exported, and the CT clamp will see that and then start charging the battery. So it basically works exactly like a normal solar inverter. Other than there's not really an install cost, you just buy it and plug it in, and it's smaller. But otherwise, you get all the same benefits.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Phil's expert guide on plug-in solar, what we know so far, how it's going to work, how it compares to traditional roof-mounted solar options. If you want more information, whether it's on this option or a battery storage install, a full solar array, feel free to get in touch or like, share and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more up-to-date information. Thank you, and thank you again, Phil.
Thank you.